We take this moment now to go within, following the sound of the bell.
Please join me in prayer. As together we give thanks for this beautiful spring day created by our source, the creator of all things, the one I call Spirit, God, the ground of being, Mother Earth. Thank you for this beautiful day that you have created, all for our delight. We know that the best use of this day is to appreciate it, to love it, enjoy it, and to spend it with our beloved community as we worship together, study together, meditate together. I know that we are each one lifted up and the community is lifted up. And in the process, everyone and everything in the world is blessed. So knowing that each one here is a blessing to me and to each other, and that this time together, this Sunday gathering unfolds perfectly and powerfully with joy, love, beauty, and truth. I just simply let it unfold, knowing it's guided by the divine hand. So I release my prayer knowing it's already done, and we anchor it into being as together we say, and so it is. Amen.
Good morning. Good morning. Nice to see you all here. I'm such a crybaby. I stand up and look out here and cry. So welcome.
Happy tears.
They are happy tears.
Your family loves you.
If you're new here with us online this morning, my name is Diana Johnson. I'm the pastor and spiritual director for Mystic Heart Spiritual Center. We're an independent interfaith community. We teach universal principles and practical spirituality to support any path. We open our doors and welcome, trusting that you will be led to the guidance and wisdom of your own mystic heart. So as we move into Taizé this morning, we join our voices in musical prayer.
Welcome
nations on the earth, all life upon the planet. Nothing can separate us, we are one. We are one, we are one. Nothing can separate us, we are one. One, we are one. Nothing can separate us, we are one. Nothing can separate us, we are one. Nothing can separate us, we are one. Let's just take a breath together. Just grounded in the deep sense of gratitude for the many, many gifts of this day. Let's settle into a moment of stillness, making yourself aware of the breath, how it moves so easily in and out. And what a blessing that is, just to be able to breathe. Letting go of all that's come before this moment and allowing your awareness to move gently into your heart space. Allowing yourself to rest there for a bit, giving yourself the gift of presence. Feeling content in this moment as you ground yourself in the here and now. Becoming peaceful as we just quietly breathe together. Sensing how the breath connects us to everyone and everything. To all creatures, the human and other than human. To every plant, large and small. To every rock and pebble, every mountain. Every drop of water. The stars and the planets, and out from there into infinity. Each and every piece of creation radiating with one light. An intricate and irreplaceable part of one life. So we take a moment just to sense and feel and know our connection with all that is. Each of us is growing in awareness, in our capacity to self-reflect. And as we gain in skillfulness, we rise to the challenges that face us. We begin within. That is the only place to begin. And we allow our inner guidance to direct our actions in our lives and in the world. With each passing day, we walk in greater integrity and authenticity, experiencing more peace and more joy, more love and more beauty than ever before. And we use all of the gifts we've been given for the greater good of all beings. It is time to use our open hearts and discerning minds to choose and create harmony so that wholeness might be revealed in our lives, in our bodies, in our neighborhoods, and in the world. We use our power of imagination consciously, creating the world we want to leave for future generations. This morning we reflect on the mystical traditions and on what the mystics know. No matter the tradition, those who have known the divine as an experience and built their lives around the awareness of the sacred share some common truth. They hold a shared understanding of how life works. First and foremost, they understand that the enlightenment you seek is already within you. There's nowhere to go. There's nothing outside of yourself that is necessary. There may be tools that are helpful: prayer, meditation, study, service. You may find teachers who inspire you, that help to open your heart and mind, that challenge all you think you know. All of these things are fine as far as they go. But the real growth comes from living, and living consciously. The second thing that mystics know is that God, Spirit, the sacred, is found in imperfection. As humans, we tend to want our God to be all goodness and light. We want the people in our lives to be kind. We aspire to being good friends and neighbors ourselves. But spiritual growth happens in the darkness as well as the light. Grace shows up as the beautiful and the ugly, the supportive and the hurtful, the delightful and the painful. The question is not how to get rid of the darkness, but rather how can I use this darkness for good? How do I grow in discernment so that I can better navigate through the shadows when they come? The mystics also realized that from profound suffering comes great wisdom and joy. As human beings, we have a tendency to think we are in control. Don't tell me anything because I already know. When we get caught in this trap, infinite intelligence comes to the rescue. It may look to us like our world falling apart, individually or collectively. It might look like illness, or broken relationships, or the loss of a job or a house. It is really grace in disguise. It is Great Spirit shaking us up, trying to get our attention. From profound suffering comes great wisdom and joy. The mystical path is a celebration of paradox. Franciscan priest Richard Rohr tells us that true participation in paradox liberates us from our own control towers. Here, the paradoxes, life and death, success and failure, loyalty to what is and risk for what needs to be, do not fight with each other, but lie in an endless embrace. We must penetrate behind them both into the mystery that bears them both. The mystical path is a celebration of paradox. Another mystical truth. Contemplation means practicing heaven now. By contemplation, I do not mean thinking about things, figuring things out. Rather, I am talking about the act of raising our thoughts to the divine, consciously placing attention on the sacred. We might also call this communion, practicing the presence. How might my life be different if through my contemplation, the conscious directing of my thoughts to higher ground, if I was to practice bringing heaven to earth on a regular basis? To discover the truth, you must become the truth. For the mystic, truth is a lived experience. It is embodied practice. Not something we learn with our brain, something that we sense with our hearts, with our guts. The mystical path is a journey of becoming, of adapting, of being transformed by experience. Not so much discovering our true nature, but remembering what we've always known. Please join me in musical meditation.
the sea and surrender to the feeling in your heart. Let it guide you to where you want to be. Just remember. Take a short time out and let yourself unwind. Take a little break and leave your cares behind. Just sit back and watch your thoughts as they flow by. Then let them go on their way. Realize that your spirit can fly. Nothing can stand in your way. Just remember who and where and what you are. Let your light shine for all to see and surrender to the feeling in your heart. Let it guide you to where you want to be. Just remember who and where and what you are. Let your light shine for all to see and surrender to the feeling in your heart. Let it guide you to where you want to be. Just remember.
Just remember, this life is not a journey of discovery. It's a journey of remembering. Finally, when you are transformed, others will be transformed through you. This is the way of things. We are all part of one life. When I am changed, everything around me changes. We are social creatures born into families, meant to be in community. Modern science tells us that babies that are neglected cannot thrive and will eventually die without intervention. The same is true of our elderly, and the same is true for each one of us. But being in community, oh, it's an art form. It takes work, authenticity, integrity, empathy, compassion, and willingness. Building successful community requires the members to have an active interior life, to be self-reflective and willing to adapt and allow others to do the same. But it also requires the members to hold a shared vision and a willingness to work towards that vision. Building successful community requires a degree of emotional intelligence, a degree of control over one's words, facial and body language, a level of self-awareness and self-honesty, and the ability to accept people where they are without criticism or judgment. Building successful community requires a compassionate heart and the ability to set and communicate boundaries. It takes an ability to stand strong and the willingness to be vulnerable. And it takes a great deal of discernment and inner guidance. When these pieces are in place, community provides a safe space for beings to grow and thrive.
Whether we know it or not, whether we like it or not, human beings are interdependent, dependent on one another, on the plants, animals, air, water, and minerals with whom we share this planet, and on Grandmother Earth herself. No one of us can survive, let alone thrive, alone. Humans build community for many different reasons, from survival of the tribe, to social or economic networking, to timeshare vacation homes. You and I have chosen to build this community in order to support one another on our spiritual journeys, because true spiritual growth can only succeed in community. Mystic Heart has chosen to be a beloved community. We have agreed to honor and respect one another always and in all ways, to support one another in hard times, to celebrate together in good times, and to gently, lovingly hold ourselves and one another accountable for keeping our shared agreements. We are spiritual family. Why do we need community for our spiritual evolution? Because you are the face of spirit for me. I love my Creator by loving you. I worship God by blessing and praising you. I forgive myself when I forgive you. I can only experience my oneness with the divine by feeling our unity. This beloved community challenges me to open my heart, to be vulnerable, to offer you my authentic self, shortcomings and all, and to love and accept you just as you are, and just as you are not. As we share these 3 minutes of silent contemplation, I invite you to think about the way you commune with the Divine Presence, however you conceive of that. With your imaginal inner eye, envision members of our community as the face of God. Put them on the heavenly throne. Great Spirit, thank you for opening my heart to this community. Thank you for the kind words and loving embraces you give me through this spiritual family. Thank you for giving me the courage to share your divine love, however imperfectly, with these holy people. May I never forget who and whose I am. There is only one of us here. That one is the divine presence, present as you, present as me, as the music, as the message, as a stirring in our hearts as we are moved and transformed by our worship together. Returning now to the wisdom and inspiration of Reverend Diana's Taizé message, we celebrate our oneness with our Creator and with one another. We see the divine light shining out through every eye, and that's what the mystics knew.
Upon entering a monastery or convent, a Benedictine nun or monk commits to living the rest of their lives in the same community. Challenges arise, as they do for all of us. The commitment is to work through the challenge, holding those who challenge us as sacred friend, honoring the journey, and growing internally from the work. The same can be true for the Buddhist monk who enters a monastery, or an initiate who enters an ashram. Deep spiritual growth happens most readily in consistent community. And the deeper the commitment to one's community, the greater one's willingness to work through conflict, which brings growth. Conflict brings the need for resolution. Resolution requires humility, vulnerability, compromise, consensus. And when we simply cannot agree, coming to peace with our disagreements. Pray with me now for the humility, the strength, the courage, the discernment and wisdom that it takes to be in community. Pray with me a prayer of gratitude for our safe and sacred space. The light of Spirit shines brightly in this place. The love of God fills our hearts, our minds, and our sacred space as we gather together this morning in community. Coming to know one another, we experience the presence of God because we know that that's really all there is. One source, one life, expressing as each one of us. We are the hands and feet, the hearts and voices of the divine. And here's what I know. We need one another. We are made to live together, to serve one another, and to receive the gifts offered us by others. When we find a community that fits, that loves and accepts us for who we are, that pushes us, but not too hard, stretches us, but not too far, we have found home. Thank you, Spirit, for my spiritual home, my spiritual family. May we all be peaceful. May we all be happy and free from harm. May we come to know and live from the truth of who we are. And may we know the rich blessings that loving relationships bring. May we forever shine the light of love and devotion into the world. May we shine the light of integrity and deep faith into every corner of our lives. May we find within the humility, the courage and strength to walk in truth. Thank you, Spirit, for this day and for the blessings too numerous to name. Those gifts that I call beautiful, graceful, preferable, and those that challenge me to no end, to grow in character, in resilience, in faith, and in love. I walk in reverence and gratitude for this masterful creation and for your powerful presence and guidance in my life, for the wisdom that is forever available. Resting in your presence, knowing that my prayer is answered even before it is spoken, I simply let it be. And together we say, and so it is. Amen. I invite you to bring your awareness back into the space gently as you feel ready, noticing whatever is before you, letting a smile come to your face as you look around and say good morning. So as we close the Maze meditation, we offer an opportunity for you to share of your financial good, should you choose to do that, in support of the work that we're doing in the world, in support of a move we're about to make across the parking lot.
We are going to?
Yeah.
Yay!
Yeah. If you're joining us online, you'll find at mysticheart.org a donate button or mailing address. We welcome all gifts in every form, financial and otherwise, and we are so grateful for all of it. So as we do our offering this morning, we're going to share a Carrie Cole song with you, another musical prayer called Circle of Fire Prayer.
The day of the Lord, when the divinity returns to us, when living our free will, and with all the power of our spirit, we decide to live our lives in free communion with God, with no expectations. We will live our lives with gratitude, love, loyalty, and justice, beginning with ourselves and continuing with our brothers and sisters. We will respect all creation as a symbol of our love. Communion with the one who created us in the eternal happiness of humanity. The day of the Lord, when the divinity returns to love, loyalty, and justice, beginning with ourselves and continuing with our brothers and sisters. It will respect all creation as a symbol of our love. Communion with the one who created us to the eternal happiness of humanity.
So we say thank you for these gifts this day, knowing that they come from Source, moving through your hearts and your hands, offered in love and received in love. And so it is. Amen. So thank you for joining us for Taizé this morning. We're going to sing you either on your way or on to get your coffee for the conversation with the soul's blessing. Do I have to? Okay.
May your soul always find what it's looking for. May your heart always lead the way. May you live in peace and harmony. And may love always fill your day. May your path be strewn with happiness. May success find you everywhere. May you always embrace compassion and grace, and may God always answer your prayer. May you always embrace compassion and grace, and may God always answer your prayer.
Have a beautiful Sunday.
The spirit today is a spirit of joy, and we rejoice at this time together in beloved community, this awesome, beautiful spring day. We give thanks for each heart and soul that is here this morning, for the love each one brings, for the commitment to spiritual evolution that each one brings, for the support that we give one another. This is truly a magical thing that happens when we come together in spiritual community and grow like weeds.
Amen.
So knowing that this time together is powerful for us, and each one receives exactly what we came here to receive. Each one shares exactly what is in their heart to share. So I just let it unfold, knowing it does so perfectly, powerfully, joyfully, lovingly, and I'll just get out of the way and let it be so. And so it is. Amen.
Good morning. Greatest way to start is with laughter, isn't it? So I welcome you here this morning. I'm Diana Johnson, Pastor, Spiritual Director of Mystic Heart Spiritual Center. So if you're joining us online for the first time, that's who we are. We are an independent interfaith community. We teach universal principles and practical spirituality so that you can put these things to use every day in your lives. So we welcome you home to the community, but to the wisdom and guidance of your own mystic heart. We're going to begin with some upbeat music. We're welcoming Dalton in this morning. We love playing with Gary too. We love it when the four of us are here. But he wasn't available this weekend, and so we are enjoying going back to doing some of our old original music, and so we're going to share through the morning a little bit of extra music with you.
Yay.
Hey.
Besides, her guitar is a lot lighter than her drums.
That's That is true.
Welcome to the Mystic Heart. Join the celebration. Lift your voice and sing your part. Lift your celebration. Spirit made us family with loving hearts to share. Together we are joyfully practicing love possible and everything possible through. Welcome to Mystic Heart.
Adjustments required.
Everybody get up on your feet. See the light in everybody you meet. Everybody get up on your feet. See the light in everybody you meet. Let us be reminded who we've come to be. We are love, we are one big family. Hey, hey, yeah, yeah. Hey, 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 yeah, yeah. Let us make a joyful sound. Here we stand on holy ground. Let us make a joyful sound. Here we stand on holy ground. Let us make a joyful sound. Hey, hey, hey. Everybody get up on your feet. See the light in everybody you meet. Hey, hey, yeah, yeah. Hey, 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 yeah, yeah.
All right. Stay up on your feet. Sing about that one God. We are one God, one family. We are one God living in diversity. We are one God. Now I see we are one God living as you and me. We are one God, one family. We are one God living in diversity. We are one God. Now I see we are one God living as you. Oh, one God. Oh, one God. Oh, one God. We are one God, one family. We are one God living in diversity. We are one God. Now I see we are one God living as you and me. Oh, one God. 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 Here we go. We are one God, one family. We are one God living in diversity. We are one God. Now I see we are one God living as you and me. Oh, I invite you to once again move into the imaginal realm with me, where we are envisioning together a love-soaked world. Our weekly practice, hopefully our daily practice. To know that we are creating a world where all humans embody the qualities of spirit, living from love and kindness and generosity, compassion, freedom, and justice. And from this way of being, I feel the presence of a deep, deep sense of joy and contentment and sufficiency. A world in which we know what is enough. It's a more conscious world where all people honor and care for one another, and with all their hearts and souls care for all life forms and for the planet herself. We remember that we're connected to all of life, that we're dependent on the planet to sustain us, and on one another. Being true to our generous nature, we give of ourselves freely, offering the gifts that are uniquely ours to give. With all needs met for every person, each one is free to share their time and talent in ways that feed the soul and serve the whole. By our every thought, word, and action, we're creating a world in which all beings are well fed, have the safety and comfort of home, and a deep sense of belonging and purpose. We're so grateful that once and for all, health, education, and healthy relationships are supported by systems grounded in integrity, compassion, and wholeness. Every being is finely valued for its uniqueness. We practice living authentic lives where vulnerability is celebrated. There's no need to defend or protect. With love, generosity, and kindness guiding every human heart, our world is free of hatred and violence. Can you see, can you imagine and feel a world free of hatred and violence?
Yes.
We recognize the abundance that surrounds us so that giving and receiving can flow freely in every direction. All beings gratefully receive all that is needed to be physically, mentally, spiritually, emotionally fulfilled. The planet and its beings thrive like never before as we learn to see the sacred in everyone and everything. We walk in reverence and gratitude for all that we've been given. We maintain this vision day by day, moment by moment. We're not swayed by appearances. We stand strong in our knowing. And each one of us works to align our actions with this vision, living these changes first in our own lives with our families and our neighbors, our friends, and those we might call enemy. And a new world is being born. In this process of profound change, this community stands as an open and welcoming place for all who seek support, belonging, and family. By the power of our deep faith, this prayer is acted upon, answered even before it is spoken, as Spirit knows our heart's desire and intent. And so in full expectation of its graceful unfolding, we release it to the creative power and intelligence that I call God. We release it to the one that gets it done. And so it is.
So it is.
Oh. So community's been on my mind this week. If you couldn't tell if you were here at the Taizé. Our theme this month is Divine Union. And the topic of conversation this morning was what the mystics know. So normally I'll offer a recap of Taizé and then springboard from there. I'm not going to do that this morning. Instead of offering a recap, I'm going to dive more deeply into some of the pieces of the Taizé, specifically into Chris's meditation from earlier this morning. So I'm going to read a little bit, and then I have some questions for us to join in on. He began with this message this morning: whether we know it or not, whether we like it or not, human beings are interdependent. Dependent on one another, on the plants, animals, air, water, and minerals with whom we share this planet, and on Grandmother Earth herself. No one of us can survive, let alone thrive, alone. He said that humans build communities for many different reasons, from survival of the tribe to social or economic networking to timeshare vacation homes. You and I have chosen to build this community in order to support one another on our spiritual journeys. Because true spiritual growth can only succeed in community. Spiritual growth can only succeed in community. Those are really strong words. Do you believe them?
Yes.
Yes.
A couple of yeses, a couple of That kind of removes even more of my perceived independence. What do you think? Is independence real?
I think that since all things happen in the mind of God, and each and every one of us is God manifest, independence is kind of a human thing,
Okay, a human construct.
a
Yeah.
human construct.
Okay,
The same as control,
okay,
it's an illusion.
all right. It's an illusion. So says one woman. James?
So as far as it only happening in community, I guess, community can be defined in many ways, right? You
Right,
can timeshare.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
relationship, I would say yes.
Right.
Relationship.
Yes. So let's define community. So
Yeah.
you're defining that as relationships.
That's
in
my feeling of the
community.
spiritual growth, where I find myself
Right.
having the most spiritual growth is in interactions with other human beings and nature and everything.
Right, yeah,
But very much
Right.
other human beings. And the challenge, like you mentioned in times 8, challenging our enemy, if you might call it that.
right,
Is
yeah.
something of my growth.
Yeah, our sacred friends, as the
Sacred
Dalai
friends.
Lama calls them. Yeah. David?
Well, it always seems to come back to me, it's where two or more are gathered.
Where two or more are gathered.
That's the energy you get
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
play with.
So we are in relationship with beyond just other humans too. We have relationships with animals and with our homes and with our plants and our neighborhoods, and so yeah, any or all of that can be considered community. But I think with human beings, we do require at least some engagement with other human beings to develop fully and in a spiritual way. It's my sense of it, I don't know. Why might that be? That we need to engage with other human beings as well as other animals and kinds of communities. Yeah.
It, different perspectives,
Okay?
different understanding, different
perspectives.
awarenesses. It challenges my own egoic kind
Okay.
of sense, and which is spiritual growth for me. The more I can step out of my ego, the more I feel like I
Right.
grow spiritually. So
Okay.
when I hear another perspective, it helps me say, oh, maybe I don't know.
Right, okay. So different perspectives to help us get our egos under control and
Yeah.
be accepting. Amanda?
Maybe reflecting back to us part of our shadow. that we don't
Okay.
see.
Reflecting back to us part of what we don't see in ourselves or don't want to see in ourselves, our shadow spaces.
Mirror, mirror on the wall.
Michael, your hand is up.
I was gonna say the same thing. I was gonna say the mirror.
Okay,
Mirror,
mirror,
yes.
mirror on the wall.
Speak
Don't
to it.
steal my thoughts,
All
man.
right, Mark?
Gosh, where do I begin? There's so many different thoughts going through my mind. In this case, community sharing energy, and then seeing in others ourselves, and seeing the other not as different, but similar.
Okay.
And that's an opportunity then,
Right.
to see the sameness.
To see where we are all the same in so many ways. We're all having the same struggles. We're all experiencing the same joys in our own flavors, in our own versions. Chris?
Well, it's, I think of, loving God, but God's invisible. If we can't love what we can see, how are we going to love what we cannot see?
Good point.
Yeah.
Yeah. Barbara?
And that divine union space takes all the energies there are. It takes the light and the dark to be that
Yes.
divine space. It's not just the white good. It takes every
Right.
light of the spectrum to be divine. So
Yeah,
it's wrapped up in many things.
right. We talked in Taizé about paradox and how the spiritual life is about learning to hold paradox. Trusting that there is only one, but it sure looks like two a lot of the time. You know, we have darkness and light. And it's all part of spirit. You know, our God doesn't have to be all goodness and light. It is all goodness. It uses all for goodness, I believe. But it looks pretty dark sometimes.
And we have to remember that we are the ones that are creating it. We are the
We're
hands and
creating
feet.
it. That's
If
right.
it's dark, who do we look at about that?
Yes, that's right.
It's just an illusion.
Diana, you used the word remember
Uh-huh.
early on in
Yeah,
your,
Casey.
and it kind of set me back, not in a negative way, but it opened my mind a little bit more. And as I was thinking more about our words, I mean, you know, words that begin with R, I thought of many different words that seemed, and remembrance in this case is, for me now, is that it is kind of my responsibility to remember all of those important things. And they're like mine. You know, all we have is our memories, and we're creating them all the time. So remembrance is particularly important for me today. And with it comes a responsibility to cast out those remembrances that are not useful.
Thank you, that's beautiful. And we talked about that this journey that we call life is not really a journey of discovery at all. It's a journey of remembering,
Yeah.
remembering who we are
Yeah,
and why we're here. And yes, so important to be willing to let go of and cast out what's not serving us. Why hang out there and bring that forward? It just doesn't make any sense.
I found that in my life when I start stirring up my past, because I use it as an example sometimes when I'm talking with people, but when I go back there and start dwelling there, it doesn't make me a happy person,
Right.
because when you think about those things, they kind of become alive again. You live
Yeah.
that moment again.
Right.
And when I do that, I don't feel well.
Yeah.
I don't feel good. And to be in this community and to come here, I get my tank filled every week,
Yeah.
so that I can go the rest of my week. And then because of this place, I've met people that I'm going to be with the rest of my life that I love, and I feel like this is my family, and I feel seen, I feel loved. That's why this community is the best thing ever, anywhere.
I'm glad you feel at home. We love you too.
Thank you.
So Chris went on to say in his meditation that Mystic Heart has chosen to be a beloved community. We have agreed to honor and respect each other always and in all ways, to support one another in hard times, to celebrate together in good times, to gently, lovingly hold ourselves and each other accountable for keeping our shared agreements. We are family. So when we began this community, and there are more questions coming, but I'm going to talk a little bit first. When we began this community, we spent a lot of time coming to some shared community agreements. And I'm going to bring these back next month in little chunks, but today I want to have just a general conversation to kind of set the groundwork for that next month. I'd like to share some of those agreements. Some of you were there helping with these agreements, and some of you were not. So periodically, I think it's good to just bring that back to the forefront. So number one, we agreed to always be respectful, compassionate, loving, honest, and authentic in our thoughts, words, actions, and communications, speaking our needs clearly and respectfully, And in doing so, we create a safe, loving, and supportive environment in which complete transparency is the norm. Vulnerability is honored, and where people are free to evolve physically, psychologically, emotionally, and spiritually. That was just number one. We had all been in places, both maybe spiritually or otherwise, where the community didn't feel that kind of supportive, and we all agreed that we were willing to do the work to bring that forward. So what are the important words that came up as I was reading? Which words?
Respiration. One of the things about respiration, it's not just animals that breathe oxygen. Plants create oxygen, for
They
goodness
do.
sakes. And they respire just as we do. And it seems there's a connection with spirit in that word.
Yeah, there is definitely a connection with spirit. What are some of the qualities we aspire to that were in that first agreement that comes up for you?
I think I heard authenticity.
Authenticity, yeah.
And I love that.
Yeah.
That could be a lifelong
Right.
becomingness.
Yes. So I get to come through the door being who I am. And I get to practice not pretending to be something else. Because we do.
Respectful, I'm sorry.
Respectful, no, go ahead, respectful.
It's another R word, just as.
Yeah. So we get to be authentic, but respectfully. Authenticity sometimes is defined as I just get to be whatever I want to be and say whatever I want to say because it's me. That's not respectful authenticity. So, yes, we get to practice not being something we're not. And when we have views that might be different than someone else's, we get to respectfully voice our authentic views without criticizing or making people wrong. Any other important words that popped up? Or go ahead.
Well,
Whatever.
and you are creating this space for us to be able to do this, to learn these healthy ways of maybe we haven't done it quite right, but this is like such a beautiful space to do that.
Right.
That you are offering, you know, to work through these pokey places that
Right.
we have not been able to address in maybe our families or
Yeah.
and this is what you are creating. It is such a beautiful space you are creating that we can do the hard stuff. Thank you.
And it can't be that without all of us taking part. Right.
I think,
Lori.
I think also when I heard you talk about, you know, wanting to put out something that criticizes someone else and your authenticity, that there's a chance for us to realize that we're really, that criticism is even directed at ourselves.
Right.
Because we're really wanting to say, how do you get to say that, or how do you get to feel that way, because I don't feel like I can feel that way. So we're really, that criticism is a reflection on our own inner smothering,
Right.
really. So it's like, and that when we realize that, we're able to really like see it for what it is and be more kind outwardly to that person and share, but also be more kind to ourselves.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, we can't be disrespectful or unkind to another without experiencing the detrimental effects of that ourselves. We can't. David?
Well, as far as community goes, then it's nice when you have a one-pointed view of something and another being comes along and shows you that maybe that you want to look at it a little differently.
Yeah, so we get different perspectives.
So that's the beauty of the energy of the
Right,
community was, oh, well, I can't see past this right now,
right.
but guess what? I'm blessed with
Yeah.
somebody that can be a better mirror.
Yeah, so that's what community brings to us.
Yeah.
But-
I was reading something the other day about um, we need to go beyond tolerance, not just
Yes.
tolerating other people's points of view or
Right.
other people's lifestyles, but to actually value the diversity and the richness that it brings to our life and into our community.
Yeah. To welcome it, to value it, not to tolerate it. That means I'm putting up with you. That's not, I mean, it's a starting place. It's better than not putting up with you. But I think we can do better than that. Sure.
I think I heard honesty.
Honesty.
And along with the criticism and things like that, sometimes I think honesty is misconstrued, like, well, I'm just being honest, you know? And
Right.
it's like, well, I really think definitely in this context, it's honest about our own feelings, about our own junk.
Yeah.
It's not really up to me to say, well, I'm being honest about what I think is wrong with you.
I don't like your pants. Being honest.
But, you know, just really getting, it's back to the authenticity, right? Of
Right.
being honest with yourself.
Yes.
You know, sometimes even in your agreements, when you're
Right.
laying down your agreements, it's not that you're not trying to be in integrity with the other person, but you've missed the mark of being in integrity with yourself.
Right. Yeah.
And, you know,
My first
That was
teacher,
a-
that's how my first teacher made the distinction between honesty and integrity. Always said, honesty is what we portray outwardly with others, and integrity is that plus.
Yeah.
It comes from self-honesty. That's integrity, alignment. There's paper and pens and stuff on the bench if you want. Okay.
Thank you.
Or you can grab toys if you want. You know, you're welcome to do whatever you want. Go ahead.
Well, I think that implicit in all of this is an agreement to forego the drama.
Forego the drama. Could you repeat that?
Note to self,
What's life
forego the drama. But it's also examining, be in touch with our own feelings enough
Yes.
to know when
Yeah.
we're starting to go there.
Right. Yeah. Internally.
Because I'm sure nobody else goes there, but
Right. Because if it's going on in here, it's gonna come out there sooner or later.
Yep.
Yeah, it's the emotional intelligence.
Emotional
And I think that's where that
intelligence.
community thing's really helpful
Yes.
in putting us in those scenarios.
Right.
Even did it with some of the teams at CSL years ago with,
Yeah.
with what do you call it, workshops.
Uh-huh.
Some of them were kind of abrasive, where we actually projected stuff at each other
Right.
to feel it. You go,
Yeah.
ooh, that doesn't feel good. And it wasn't fun to do. It was actually intimidating to lead.
Right.
But,
Yeah.
which was good for me, right?
Right,
My
yeah.
feelings, gotta have that emotion, to create the intelligence of that emotion, I gotta experience it.
Right.
I don't know, so far that's how I feel like I've got
Yeah.
to experience it.
Yeah.
Without the experience, just hiding out in my little comfort zones that I never
Right.
get presented with anything,
That's right.
then there's no growth, and so then I have that emotional triggers and stuff.
Yeah. You can't grow through it until we're in it.
Right.
Right? Okay, Mark, I'm gonna go on to the second agreement.
I think one of the themes we've just been talking about, I would call the tyranny of judgment, or the judgmental mind. And it comes from when we're young, and I've been sharing these notions with Michael, about the first 7 years of our lives, we're learning what's right from what's wrong. And often we fixate on because we want to feel right. But how about a life where you're not constantly in judgment?
Right.
It's become a habit to see the good and to see the positive, to see the healthy, happy aspects of life. And so if you find yourself being in judgment, maybe you're just obsessed with not being wrong. And that energy brings up the wrongness in life. So
Yeah.
let's be free of judgment as much as we can be.
Yeah. What if, I've been listening again to Conversations with God and Neil Donald Walsh.
I love him.
And, you know, what if God says in those books, there's no right and there's no wrong.
Right.
There's no such thing as right and wrong. There just is. There is what is. It's only our human minds that have to make it right or make it wrong. That we need to step into the place of the one that's right instead of the place that's wrong. But there's no right and no wrong. It's just what is and how we deal with what is. So I want to move to the next agreement, because we have 7 of them. So we agree to take personal responsibility. Uh-oh, there's that word again. Personal responsibility for our thoughts, our words, and our actions at all times. In doing so, we create a loving environment where spiritually mature individuals promote peace, joy, and celebration in all that we do. Now, are we all spiritually mature beings right now?
Of course.
Definitely
I'm not
in
in
the
every
process.
moment.
In the process, we're
Yeah.
all in the process.
We're all in process, and in some moments, we're more spiritually mature than in other moments. How much sleep did I get? Have I eaten today? You know, have I worked too much this week? You know, so,
Days in and out.
right, so we can make this agreement and we can aspire to that. And when we miss the mark, we can be respectful and we can have conversation and we can process it and we can work it through and we can begin again. Right.
I should tell the kids at school that when they make a bad choice, that, you know, if you don't take responsibility for the mistaken choices that you make, you can't take credit for the good things that you do.
Mm,
I mean, it's two sides of it's a shadow side of the same coin.
it is, yeah. So, thoughts about taking responsibility at all times? That's a big job, huh?
What else are you gonna do?
What else are you gonna do? Blame?
Well,
Point
you know,
fingers?
that doesn't feel good.
It
I
doesn't
mean,
feel good either,
maybe in
does
the
it?
moment you think that, wow, look, I'm right.
Yeah.
But that's never got me anywhere. I'm right.
Exactly what Mark said, we all want to be right.
We all want to be
Yeah.
right. Yeah.
Right.
And let that go, then boy,
Yeah.
that's a big release.
Yeah,
Right on.
It is.
And I don't think it's a matter of like not being right, but we all have our own perspective, and we
Right.
can't just say that
Yes.
just because I have some amount of rightness in what I'm saying, that means the other person is wrong.
Right.
We're both right. We both have amounts of
Yes.
individuality, and we have to figure out what that looks like, and
Yeah.
we're responsible to set our boundaries and
Right.
and
Yeah.
ask for what we need and what we want, and
Yeah.
not just point out things we don't like.
Yeah. Instead of right or wrong, what about this? This feels like it works for me. And apparently that feels like it works for you. And if we can dance together with that, great. And if we can't, we can respectfully disagree and part ways, or whatever we need to do. David?
Well, it brings back a memory of a song that I loved, and it was "We Just Disagreed."
Mhm.
And- But that doesn't tear us apart. We just
Right.
respectfully disagree with one
There ain't no good guy. There ain't no bad guy.
Yes.
There's only you and me, and we just disagree.
another. There you go.
That's all. Huh?
Yeah, I feel the mystics' teaching and our teaching and, you know, being responsible for our own actions makes us stronger, because in other teachings, and I was one that early on in my life, you would say, oh, I did that because the devil made me do it.
That darn devil.
But then God, you learn, wouldn't create the devil, he creates all things, but I don't believe, and a lot of people don't believe that God would consciously create a devil. But some people, some faiths have to have the devil to blame things on, so.
Right. That devil has, what is it, has human fingerprints all over it? Has human handprints all over it, right? So our third agreement, we agree to reverently seek Spirit's guidance, going directly to parties involved, and seeking the help of a minister if needed when resolving conflict. In doing so, we trust that love is leading the way and that peace prevails. So we go directly to the people we have conflict with, and we speak respectfully. and we talk it through. And if, because of wherever people are or the level of emotion or difficulty that is present, they can't do that alone, that's what I'm here for. That's what a pastoral care minister does. To sit and create the safe space, to mediate when needed, to give insight if it's called for, and to help resolution come forward from the parties involved. Chris?
The part that jumped out to me today was to seek divine guidance.
To seek divine
It reminded me
guidance.
of a time when somebody got injured at a retreat I was at, and everybody's, getting out the first aid kit and, helping us, and my teacher came in and said, "Did anybody pray?" So, to lead with prayer, I mean,
Yeah, you can pray while you're taking care of business.
yeah. So, but when, in healing a conflict like that in a community,
Right.
it's important to bring that in too.
Yeah, go to God first.
Okay, so we've gotten to a point where we can't do it with ourselves, so we need to talk to the minister. One of the more important things here is to also recognize that the minister's duty in this is to mediate, not take sides.
Right.
And so we go to the minister with the expectation that the minister is going to be a third party who's not going to take sides with either one.
Yeah,
Otherwise, we're hurting ourselves,
right.
And then what we want to do is make the minister the bad guy, because she's not
Take
taking
my
my
side.
side. Yeah, so I think that would be one of the most important things to keep in mind is
Right.
we can't come to a resolution ourselves. We need someone to help us do that, not to make the decision
Right.
on what that's about.
Yes, good point, thank you.
I believe something was said in Chris's meditation or something in Isaiah about willingness.
Yes,
It's a willingness to pursue a resolution, to pursue healing, not to come to the minister with like, "Hey, I need to get you on my side, you gotta
Right.
see what happened."
yeah.
I want to mend this.
Yeah.
I want to be part of this community.
Resolution is the goal. And that's where, whether it's a minister or any other spiritual guide, that's where the importance of training and personal spiritual development on the part of the leader, whoever the leader is you're talking about. You need to feel secure that that person is capable of holding it all, holding it all without taking sides, without criticizing, without blaming, without any of their own triggers being set off. Because then that just creates a real mess. David?
Well, isn't that pretty much what creates all wars, is because everyone thinks God's on their side?
Right. God's on my side. Lori?
I really have a firm belief that I've developed over time, but for a while now, that things come up to be healed.
Right.
And whenever we're faced with something that doesn't seem to just go along with what we think it should be, then there's some work to do there.
There's work to do.
And we have to at least choose a different way of processing it or handling it.
Right.
And if it's recurring, then that really points to things that are the work that we need to do.
Yes.
And whenever we're getting into that space of things replaying in our mind and things not going away, that we're really in a fight, flight, or freeze mode.
Yeah.
And that's a real signal to really choose something different.
Right. Yeah. Nice. Thank you. So 4, we agree that we are consciously choosing to create this spiritual family. Consciously choosing to be a part. In doing so, we're creating a space in which to belong, a place to call home, calling ourselves part of a family. Any thoughts about that? About the idea that it's a free choice? Nobody's pinning you to a chair ever, or
Right.
making you wrong if you're not, or...
One of your positions is that you're somebody who's able to seek a balance. It's not this side, it's not that side. And that brought to my mind the notion that we're all in the same boat.
Yeah.
And if you think about it, gosh, if we all got to one side of the boat, we'd be sunk.
We would.
So how useful it is to remember balance.
Mhm.
It's
My
a
job
simple-
is to stand in the boat with my feet like this, right?
Essentially, yeah.
Yeah. So our fifth agreement, we agree to welcome all who come, gracefully honoring each individual as a unique child of God, accepting all faith paths and levels of awareness as a sacred part of the spiritual journey. In doing so, we attract a vibrant group of diverse members who practice this teaching to live in the consciousness of oneness each and every day. So that's the teaching, to aspire to live in the consciousness of oneness and unity. Yeah.
I've spent a lot of my life being pretty bored even when it came to my food.
Mhm.
And so this is one area that I've been kind of reaching out in is open to all types of meals.
Uh-huh.
Sitting down at any kind of table and saying, okay, I guess we're eating this today. I've never eaten this before.
Right.
That kind of inclusivity. It's funny, 'cause we've had people come over who maybe don't eat some of the stuff that we eat, and I notice the little kids are really, really clear.
Right.
They're like, this is weird.
This is weird, what's this?
And so just thinking about expanding into simple, that's a simple way to expand into a different.
Yeah. It's a
Yeah.
great way to include more
Open up.
diversity.
Right.
Yeah. But it can be challenging sometimes, because we get stuck in what we like to eat. Any other thoughts about welcoming all who come? Yeah, David.
Well, a mantra I've been working with a lot lately, and it's healed people, healed people.
Healed people, heal people.
Yeah.
And hurt people, hurt people.
Not.
So both are true. So when we haven't done our own work, and we have triggers and traumas and places that we're set off in community particularly, we can inadvertently hurt people. We don't mean to. It's not intentional. And when we carry in a healed energy, an energy that has done that work and is balanced, just by our presence, people are affected. Chris?
So that agreement then implies that if somebody in the community or somebody comes into the community and trips one of our triggers, yanks one of our chains, then we have a responsibility to not react, but to remove ourselves,
If needed, right.
until we figure that out.
Yeah.
You know, go see a practitioner, have a session, or do something, but
Yeah.
but first of all, you know, at the very least, do no harm.
Right. I spoke to somebody yesterday who said, I need to bring something up to you. It's been bothering me since January. I'm like, January? January? Really? How come in that moment when that thing happened, you didn't say, excuse me, I don't know if I'm understanding what I just think I heard you say? Because then I could have just explained to you that that wasn't what I meant, that this is what I meant. And you wouldn't have been carrying it from January to now. I mean, woo. So yeah, take care of the business as it comes up. As soon as you feel able to be reasonable about taking care of the business.
I guess it took from then.
I guess it took since January. It's okay.
That's what I
It's all
was
right.
thinking.
Yeah.
I think we're still on the topic too of the inclusive of all people,
Right.
wherever they are on their path.
Yeah.
And I remember I was in my last class, so like 2 years of study before
Mhm.
practitioner, and they mixed it up to where sometimes if someone wanted to sign up and they were new, it didn't matter, you know. So there's 3 of us that have almost done a lot together, right?
Mhm.
And then there's this brand new person.
Right.
And then they're asking about things that you're like, well, or at least I was, and I hate to admit this because I was
Mhm.
like, oh my gosh, you know?
Yeah.
Because I just wanted to you know, keep growing.
Right.
And I saw that as like holding me back.
Mm-hmm.
And I really like in communities, things like that challenge you.
Right.
And you're like, okay, are you gonna get over this and just, you know, enjoy having this person?
Right.
Or every time you're gonna get annoyed? Come on.
Yeah.
You know?
And whose work is that to do?
It
Right?
was all mine to do. You know? And if anything, I was getting to that point in my studies where I thought I was hot crap, you know? You know, it's like I needed it.
Yeah.
And there it came. Thank
Yeah.
you. You know, thank you.
Spiritual arrogance, man, that's a trap.
Yeah.
That's a trap. Yep, and it can come to any of us.
I notice, I still have a few triggers, ha ha ha. But I notice that when I get triggered, I have to really stop and realize that they're my mirror. And if I can see that in them and recognize it, and it pushes my buttons, then there's something that I need to look like in myself
Yeah.
before I can ever step out or even
Yes.
try to help them or even help myself.
Yeah.
And then I go, gee, thank you, God. Well, I don't think I needed that, but okay. This
Yeah.
was a mirror. And then go from there. That's what I
Mm-hmm.
am working at doing.
Yeah. Any place that we're triggered, you're going to hear this from me over and over for the rest of your life if you're here. Any place we're triggered, we're not free.
Oh.
Any place we're triggered, we're not free.
When I'm triggered, it's not my responsibility to figure out what the other person's trigger was. You know, because if they're triggering me, chances are I'm triggering them too.
Right.
But figuring out their thing is not my responsibility. I need to be too busy figuring out my own.
Right. That abrasiveness points to
Yes.
both of you to be looking inward. Yes.
The thing you were talking about earlier about blaming reminds me of this one book that my family was reading a few nights ago called Animal Farm.
Oh, yes. I know
Yeah.
that book.
At this one part where Conrad Napoleon was building the windmill, and then after they were like pretty much done, and then it got destroyed, and Napoleon blamed the destruction on Snowball.
Oh, man.
Yes.
Blame just doesn't work, does it? It doesn't solve anything, does it?
Yeah, this book was pretty much talking about, like, back then, the history of our nation, pretty much.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
You have no idea how delighted I am at this interaction. I really am. I've watched you grow from tiny, and you are such a intelligent and clear-spoken young man. Thank you. Beautiful. So we have a couple more. I'm going to quickly do this and we can talk about it where we need to. We agree to respect one another's personal space. In doing so, we create a comfortable community experience in which everyone feels safe and honored. So this can mean honoring one's physical space, but it also can mean honoring someone's mental and emotional space, the space they might need to process before we face each other to talk or work through something. It can mean me asking before I hug you, something that simple. But it does mean giving someone the space to process whatever is going on and not, forcing your way into someone's process. It certainly means not trying to give advice. That's one of the things with practitioners and ministers, at least here. Advice giving is not a thing, because we don't know. We can reflect when asked, but we are to never give advice. And then we agree to live from a consciousness of wholeness and abundance. In doing so, we create personal lives and a spiritual home that are radiantly healthy and free from limitation of every kind. Wholeness and abundance. I hear, with this project we have, I hear little niggles of, this is gonna be expensive. How are we gonna afford this? And I remind people that I started ministerial school without any money set aside for that program. And I signed up for a $25,000 program with nothing to pay for it. And it showed up as I needed it. And I have every bit of faith in the abundance of spirit. This is opening so easily so far that I have no doubt that what we need is coming. So.
And it came.
And it came.
Well, I think everything we learn and study here has to apply to what we do here.
Yes,
Has to.
we have to walk the talk.
It's not
Otherwise,
just, for ourselves or at home,
right,
and then, well, we're gonna somehow think different.
yeah,
This is a global,
right,
teaching
yeah,
to where we're embodying, true embodiment would be to have that belief out picture
right.
in the world.
How else are we going to get to world peace?
It's gotta start here.
It has to start,
And here.
yeah, one small group of people at a time. That's how change like this has always happened, grassroots. Small groups of people making agreements, keeping agreements, working through challenging things.
That's when Josiah Royce developed the idea of beloved community, the idea was that a small community builds that,
Mm-hmm.
and then it expands out into the greater community and expands out.
Right.
And the eventual goal of beloved community is that the entire world is one beloved community. And that's what Howard Thurman and Martin Luther King were
Picked
so
up on.
inspired by.
Right, yeah, yeah. So are we walking this path perfectly as a community?
I don't think we can. We've got to learn as we go.
Learn as you go.
We are human.
We are human.
We aspire.
We aspire to, we endeavor to.
Yes.
As
So-
perfectly as we can at the moment.
Right. So the answer I would give is yes and no. Yes and no, perfectly, what's that mean?
We were said a moment ago, or earlier, about good, bad.
Right.
Is it not perfect?
I believe that we're here on purpose.
Yeah, exactly, it's all on purpose.
In that sense, we're here to grow, to learn. So in that sense, we're doing it perfectly. We're doing it the way it's supposed
What's
to be
the mission?
happening. Right.
Perfectly imperfect.
Yes, perfectly imperfect.
I had a life lesson really impact me yesterday. I'll try to be real brief about it. I have a neighbor I called up the other day, just, hey, how you doing? Can I speak to Joyce? Because she's a lady down the street and I liked her very much. Well, Joyce has passed away, I was told. And this rang a bell since I was a caretaker, essentially, for another woman named Joyce who passed away last November. So I was reverberating with this sense of loss. But based on love, I was feeling really kind of badly about it. Well, I asked him if he could come over and show me a little something about electricity, because he's just recently retired as an electrician for the city of Shasta Lake. And he came over, and I was ready to commiserate with him about his loss, but he was upbeat. And I thought, oh, okay, well, I wanted, see, love can have the effect of making stronger your sense of loss when it's gone away.
Yeah.
But I learned from him that he wasn't looking at it as a really bad thing. He's handling it, looking at his life as it is now. And I was admiring how he was able to let go of his many-year relationship with his wife who passed away. It was a process, cancer does that.
Yeah.
Any case, I learned not to make judgment, your number 6 agreement. of another person, even though I felt like engaging at it, but it would have been to exorcise an aspect of love that I've grown up with,
Yeah.
tied to loss. And
Right.
maybe it's just happened that I should pay attention more to what has been gained by
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
He went ahead and the electrical thing that I was asking him to look at was a electrical outlet in my well house that was not working anymore.
Mhm.
And I was already with my notes to learn something about wiring and everything. And he took a quick look at it. He said, "Oh," and he pressed the little button, and the thing started working again. And I hadn't noticed that little button there, and I felt so stupid, but at the same time, I was very much learning, hey, Mark, if you just don't look at it as a loss, it could be
Right.
a gain.
Right. It's all about perspective.
Yes.
He pressed the reset for
He
you.
pressed the reset for you.
Exactly. So I'm going to learn to look for the reset button.
There
every
you
time.
go. So in Chris's meditation, I'll wrap up with just one or two more things that he said. Why do we need spiritual community for spiritual evolution? Because you are the face of spirit for me. I love my Creator by loving you. I worship God by blessing and praising you. I forgive myself when I forgive you. I can only experience my oneness with the divine by feeling our unity. And what does this community challenge us to do or to be? What do you think? What is it challenging us to do or to be?
To be the best me I can be.
To be the best me I can be in any given moment, with whatever the circumstances are.
To try to love unconditionally all the time.
To try to love, to aspire to love unconditionally.
If I'm not the best, I can fall into these arms. They will help me through those times.
Yes. To know that there's someone there to catch you.
I think we also assume that other people are doing the best they can as well.
Assume highest intent. Always assume highest intent. We tend to go right to the lowest intent. This must have been malicious. This must have been all of our projections. Where do those projections come from? They come from us. Assume highest intent. They were doing the best they knew how to do in that moment.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe we have resolution to find, but if I can come from that higher place, we're going to have a lot less trouble finding that resolution. So community kind of causes us to be open and vulnerable at times, to offer our authentic self respectfully, shortcomings and all, because we all have them, every one of us, to love and accept one another just as we are in any moment and just as we're not.
I agree with that, but I also think it's important sometimes to remember to celebrate each other.
Celebrate
One of our
each other,
pillars,
yes.
you know.
Yeah,
Celebrate our
celebration.
differences.
Right.
If we were exactly the same, we'd bore each
It'd
other.
be boring. Yeah, we need our differences, right? So I'm going to close in prayer. And we have a couple of songs for you today. The light of spirit is shining so brightly in this place right now. The one source of all of life is moving in through and as this community by moving in through and as each one of us. So we take a moment to just let that soak in, to acknowledge that that is who and whose we are. We are here for one another. We are here for one another. I know that as we come together, we bring the highest of intention. we bring our understanding. We bring our love, our empathy. We bring a sincere curiosity that says, what is it like to be you? What has it been like to live your life? What is it like now to live your life? And from that place of curiosity and understanding, seeking to form safe, respectful, loving community. Allowing each one of us to make the mistakes as we make them, and forgiving one another as we would want them to forgive us. So I know right here and now that's what this community is about. I stand strong in my faith, in this community and in each and every member of this community. And I stand in excitement and welcome for all the new members and beings that will come into our new space when we have it, that will come into this space on our way to it. And we just look forward to expanding, reaching out with big arms and big hearts. So I say thank you, Spirit, for all that has unfolded to bring us this far, for all that is unfolding in every moment, and for all that has already happened in the mind of God that will carry us into our new space, is carrying us into our new space right here and now. Thank you for these blessings and all of the many blessings of this and every day. Thank you for the grace that comes in disguise as challenges, that builds my faith and resilience, makes me a better person. And thank you for all of those blessings that appear beautiful and joyful and graceful. For all of it, I say thank you. Releasing my prayer, trusting that it's done its good work, and we all move into this week with a deep sense of peace, as together we say, and so it is. Amen. I feel so much better right now than I did yesterday, for example. Kind of a rough week this week, and it's been a beautiful experience to share with you this morning, so I really appreciate your being here. We're going to move into our time of offering. If you care to share of your financial goodness, financial abundance with this community, this would be the time for today. If you're online with us, you can go to mysticheart.org and you'll find a donate button. You'll also find a mailing address. And as we do that today, we're going to extend the time period just a little because we're together and we can. We're going to do 2 songs today for you. And these are originals that we haven't really performed much in a while. So don't hesitate to get up and move if you want. All right. And this is the 3. Okay, here we go. Anybody here remember Promised Land?
Sounds familiar.
Oh, good. It's a brand new song then.
Brand new song. Actually, it says here, I can't even believe, I wrote this in 2011, and I'm like, whoa, really? 13 years ago. It's an old song. It's an old song now. Days of old when Moses led the Jewish people through the desert toward a better way of life. He took them out of bondage, got them to the path of freedom, and for 40 years he led them toward the light. But at the end of that parade, the one mistake those people made was thinking someone else could set them free. try to show them their divinity, and in a few the flame of consciousness did ignite. But mostly they misunderstood the message he was bringing. They thought he said he was the only one. Well, those people could not understand what Jesus tried to tell them was that they could each perform the very miracles he'd done. No one can lead you down into the promised land. No matter who you are, no matter where you go. So take that step, no time to wait, just walk right into heaven's gate. You gotta make it on your own. Well, I hope that you are listening to this message I am bringing you. I hate to think this song was all in vain. You gotta journey inward to that quiet place within you. It's the only way to shake that ball and chain. No one can lead you down into the promised land. No matter who you are, no matter where you roam. So take that step, no time to wait, just walk right into heaven's gate. You gotta make it on your own. Well, no one can lead you down into the promised land. No matter who you are, no matter where you roam. So take that step, no time to wait, just walk right into heaven's gate. You gotta make it on your own. You gotta make it on your own. I think I was channeling Buck Owens when I wrote that.
I think so too.
And the Buckaroo. And maybe this one too, who knows? Oh yes, I'm free. But only when I decide I am.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Sometimes when I'm feeling down and lonely, feels like love has hung me out to dry. That's when I get down on my knees and ask the good Lord, would you please explain to me, how did I get into this mess? I can't imagine, I can't guess, so help, please help me see. I wanna break through, I wanna be free, I wanna be all that I can be. I wanna have faith,
I wanna have faith,
I wanna be sure,
I wanna be sure.
I've gotta know my love is pure. Pray to God both day and night, I pray to God with all of my might, and I'm free. Yes, I'm free. Well, I believe the Lord gave me an answer. Feeling rumbling deep down in my soul. He said anybody can talk that talk. It takes nerve to walk that walk from day and night. But if you want love to fill your heart, you gotta give love its time to start to shine. Baby, shine your light. I wanna break through, I wanna be free, I wanna be all that I can be. I wanna have faith,
I wanna have faith,
I wanna be sure,
I wanna be sure.
I gotta know my love is pure. Pray to God both day and night, I pray to God with all of my might, and I'm free. Yes, I'm free. Uh-oh. Well, I don't know that I liked what I was hearing. It sounded like the choice was mine to make.
Always is.
But I guess I better get my head together and take whatever steps I have to take. 'Cause I wanna break through, I wanna be free, I wanna be all that I can be.
free. Pray to God both day and night. I pray to God with all of my might, and I'm free. Yes, I'm free. Yes, I'm free.
They do. We have some original stuff we haven't done enough of lately, so we're going to get back to some of that. So thank you so much for these offerings that are given freely and lovingly from your hands and hearts to ours. I'm stepping right in front of Chris's prayer, so I'm going to step over. Sorry.
What she said, and we acknowledge that though God is the source, they come through your heart, through your hands, through your wallets, however they get here. We promise to be wise stewards of it and to use them to help create a love-soaked world. Amen. Well.
All together, hand in hand, we see the light, we take a stand, and we are changing. A whole new life for you and me. Take your past and set it free, and share this blessing. Love be with you, peace enfold you, spirit lift you, breathe it in. Truth come through you, make it flow to you. Let joy renew you until we meet again. Love be with you. Ooh, 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 love be with you until we meet again. Love be with you. Ooh, love be with you. Now breathe it in. Love be with you. Ooh, love be with you until we meet again. Love be with you. Ooh, love be with you. Now breathe it in. Love be with you. We love you all. Thank you for being here this morning. See you at lunch.